Phoebe Ayers is a science and engineering reference librarian at the University of California, Davis. Since 2003, she's been an editor and volunteer with the Wikimedia Foundation, which runs Wikipedia and its sister projects. And from 2010 to 2012, was a member of the Foundation's Board of Trustees. She's also the co-author of a book about Wikipedia called How Wikipedia Works. Phoebe is also an active member of SLA. She's a member of the Physics, Astronomy, and Mathematics Division, and has served the Sierra Nevada chapter as Professional Development Chair and as President. And we, of course, thank her for that service. So please join me in welcoming Phoebe.
All right, let's do some housekeeping. First off, if you want dessert, go get dessert. Or if you want more food, go get some more food. Also, this is a slide-heavy presentation. I don't know how well everyone can see the screen. I'll do my best. You do your best. Feel free to move up if you want to move up. But the slides will be online, as I understand it. So you can always take a look later. And this mic is problematic, yeah? Let me know if you can't hear me. I'm a little hoarse, so I'm going to use it, so let me know if you can't understand me. My other piece of housekeeping is that I did want to thank BJ Combs for almost single-handedly putting on the West Coast reception this year, being the sponsors, making the plans, talking to the people. So if you go, and you should go, stop by and thank this man for getting it done. We are a small but scrappy chapter. And if you are interested, if you're ever up in Sacramento, you want to join Sierra Nevada chapter events, we have a mailing list that sends out our events. We do stuff in the Sacramento area pretty often, like every couple of months. When you say BJ, we have a social event or a tour of some kind. So I encourage you to come hang out with us. So, with that said, I call this talk Edit This Movement, the past, present, and future of Wikipedia. And what I am going to do tonight, or try to do tonight, is share what has been, for me, a 10-year love affair with Wikipedia. And I'm going to try to share some of the complexity and the beauty and the challenges of the project. This is going to be in 4 parts. I'm going to try and give you an overview of the projects, the culture, the community, and what we do. And then we're going to dive down. We're going to look at an article in depth and the tools that editors might use to work on that article. Then, because we're a room full of librarians, I'm going to talk about Wikipedia and libraries, Wikimedia and libraries, and the ways that we might work together. And then some of our challenges for the future. I'm using 2 words. You might notice Wikipedia, with a P, is the website. It's the encyclopedia that we have all used, right, to look things up. Wikimedia, with an M, it refers to the larger organization, the foundation, and all the other projects that we run, and the community, the whole shebang. Back in 2003, when we were naming the foundation, we thought it would be so clever to just swap out a letter. Now no one can keep it straight. So just bear that in mind. And if anything is unclear, feel free to stop me. But let's save your big questions. Let's save your philosophical questions for the end, and hopefully we'll have some time for discussion. The other thing is, this is an information-rich presentation. It's probably a little too information-rich. And I'm not trying to subject you to database training, right? I'm not trying to overload you, but I am trying to share some of the complexities. All right. So part 1. Edit this movement. You might be thinking to yourself, I thought we were here to talk about a website. What's this about a movement? And one of our former board members coined this term, the Wikimedia movement. And it sort of encompasses this sensation of bringing together disparate parts, disparate people from around the world, disparate projects, under an umbrella of shared values, which is what we see ourselves as doing at Wikimedia. Those shared values are summed up in this vision statement for the Wikimedia Foundation, which is imagine a world. Imagine a world in which every single human being can share researchable knowledge. Okay, that's ambitious. It's ambitious, but it is our aspirational goal, our dream goal that we will never reach. And it is also where I think Wikimedia has a lot in common with libraries, right? Like, in the end, this is the point of libraries. Bringing the world's knowledge together, sharing it with everyone. So let's unpack this a little bit, this vision statement. When I talk about every single human being, I mean every single human being in their own language, okay? So this is the portal page for Wikipedia. You might have seen this, you might not have seen it, but Wikipedia exists in over 280 language versions, okay? And you can see the big ones arranged around the globe. English is by far the largest with 4 million articles. It's followed up by Japanese, German, French, Dutch. And then there's lots of smaller versions, right? So 100,000 article plus versions. These include Polish, Portuguese, Vietnamese. And then 10,000 article versions. These include languages like Afrikaans, Indonesian, Kurdish, Farsi. And here's the thing, and this continues on. So there's Wikipedias with only a few hundred articles, right? Wikipedias that are just baby sites, getting started. Here's the thing, they're not translations, right? Almost all of these sites are built from the ground up by their individual communities. The occasional article might get translated, but by and large, these are individual projects with their own communities of users. This is maybe my favorite part about Wikipedia as a project, is its sheer multilingual diversity. I've learned a lot about languages working on this project. And if you go to a Wikipedia article, on the left-hand side here, you'll see links to all the other languages that an article on that subject exists in, right? I use this a lot with my reference librarian hat on for translation. If you want to know what a word is in another language, look it up in English and see if there's a link, right? And so this is the article about Silicon Valley. There's a version of it in German, in Estonian, in Danish, etc., etc. Okay, so 280 languages. Wikimedia also encompasses more than just Wikipedia, right? So when we say the sum of all human knowledge, we mean more than just encyclopedic knowledge, right? We mean the whole thing. And so we run 12 free knowledge projects. There's a free dictionary, Wiktionary. There's a textbook writing project called Wikibooks. There's a species taxonomy project called Wikispecies, and so on and so forth. Wikispecies is cool. Don't laugh. It's tiny, but it's super cool. And we put it online way before Encyclopedia of Life or anybody else tried to. So there's 12 free knowledge projects here, and they all cover different subjects. They're all multilingual projects. And these are all hosted under the aegis of the Wikimedia, with an M, the Wikimedia Foundation, which is a non-profit foundation that's based here in San Francisco. That is medium-sized at this point. There's 150 staff. So these are collectively the Wikimedia projects. And on this tour, let me introduce you to a few that I think are important for librarians to know about. There's Wikimedia Commons. How many people have used Commons? I'm just curious or know about it. Okay, like maybe slightly less than a quarter of you. Wikimedia Commons is a free photo repository. There are 16 million files. They're all freely licensed. This is a fabulous place to find stock photography. If you're looking for photos for a presentation, there's some very beautiful photos up here. We have some very talented photographers in our community. So Wikimedia Commons, there's also sounds, videos, media files. Wiktionary is a free dictionary project, like I said, and it's multilingual. So there's multilingual versions of Wiktionary, and definitions get translated into all these languages. Wikisource is interesting. Wikisource is a source transcription project, and by source I mean like manuscript. So it's a little bit like Project Gutenberg, if you're familiar with that. It's a project to transcribe things that are in the public domain, so like the Constitution or the Sherlock Holmes stories. And there are some libraries out in the world that have worked with Wikisource, putting manuscripts online and then having the Wikisource volunteers do OCR correction, which is pretty cool. And it, too, is multilingual. Wikidata. Wikidata is our newest project, or our next to newest project. I'm not going to do Wikidata justice, but I'm very excited about it. So if you are interested in semantic data, come talk to me afterwards and I will tell you all about Wikidata. But it's a database of facts about things, like the population of a city, or the translation of a name in lots of languages. And we're trying to collect that and make it all semantically available, and it's based on Wikipedia data, but maybe also other data later. It's new, like I said, new this year. And then this is our newest project, Wikivoyage, little Wikivoyage, which is available in a handful of languages. It's a free travel guide, and I like it a lot. It's just getting started. There's some 12,000 pages in English. I've been telling people, if you're at all interested in contributing to Wikimedia, go to Wikivoyage, find the article about your hometown, tell people how to get there, right? Done and done. And it's a great little community, and people would be very glad to have you, right? So this is a nice project. And it's not like Wikipedia at all, right? Because it's a travel guide, right? Wikipedia tells you about the history of the city. Wikivoyage tells you what the phone number of the bus company is, right? Very different information. Okay, so that's a sampling. That's a sampling of our projects. Finally, there's MediaWiki, MediaWiki.org, which is the software part of all of this. So all of our wikis, and probably sites that you have used as well, run on MediaWiki. It's an open source wiki platform project. So the Wikimedia Foundation runs this as well. It's open source software, anyone can download it. It's the largest wiki package in the world, by which I mean the most used. Maybe also the biggest in code, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a very vibrant open source software project. So the Wikimedia Foundation is largely a technology organization, right? We're largely programmers at the foundation. But let's back up from being in San Francisco for a minute. This is also a global organization. So there are 38 local affiliates located around the world. And these are, in the dark blue, chapters, Wikimedia chapters. So there's Wikimedia India, Wikimedia Australia, Wikimedia UK, Wikimedia France, Wikimedia Chile. And what they do is support the projects in their own geographies, in their own places and languages. So Wikimedia France does lots of outreach within France, but they also do outreach to Francophones around the world, right? French speakers around the world. And so there's this huge network of volunteers, and these are almost all volunteer-run chapters. Some of them are large enough to have a few staff, but they're all independent, right? They're all independent groups. So unlike us, right? Unlike the SLA chapters, they're tied to our parent organization. These chapters are less tied to the Wikimedia Foundation, but we share common names and trademarks and agreements, right? And finances. So let's sum this up. 280 projects, or 280 languages across 12 projects means 12 million articles, give or take. That's not counting the other projects. It means 18 million media files, pictures, videos, audio files, give or take. All of that is put together by about 100,000 people editing every month on the projects. And those people get together. They hang out. So we have an edit-a-thon in San Francisco next weekend, which you're all welcome to come to. Simultaneously, there's an edit-a-thon happening in Mexico City next Saturday, which if you were there, you'd be welcome to go there. And then there's these formal organizations. Like I said, there's 38 local chapters. We around 150 staff, somewhere between 150 and 200. Mind you, Wikipedia is the 5th largest website in the world. That puts us on the list with Google, Amazon, Yahoo, eBay. Y'all are from here. You know how many employees Google has, right? So we are tiny, 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 tiny in the world of big internet companies. We're pretty big as foundations go, but we're teensy tiny in the world of Silicon Valley. All of that is funded by individual readers giving money. When we put up those banners with the disembodied head of Jimmy Wales, and we say, please give us some money, people do. We're very, very lucky that people do. Around 1 million people every year give money, and they give a small amount. They give on average $20, and that's how we fund everything. We get a few grants, but that's not how we pay our bills. We intentionally depend on reader support because we are accountable to the community of people who use Wikipedia, which is almost everyone, but we are accountable to our community of readers. And we take that seriously, right? That means no ads, no governmental support, etc. And so we're lucky. We're lucky that people give us money. It's sort of the public radio model, written very large and very successfully, right? And we're in a special place. Not everyone can do this, right? It's because so many people read and use Wikipedia that this works. A lot of people read Wikipedia. 500 million people read Wikipedia every month, which is a substantial chunk of the world's population. And it feels like a heavy burden, right? It feels like a big responsibility, and it is a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility to get things right. It's a big responsibility to keep these projects going. And it's a big responsibility to try and do the right thing. The other thing this means, your students use Wikipedia. Your clients use Wikipedia. Your faculty use Wikipedia. Your colleagues use Wikipedia. You probably use Wikipedia, right? It means that this is where folks are getting their information on a day-to-day basis, regardless of other factors like their access to libraries, which means that I think we all, as a profession, have a responsibility to be involved, right? Let's talk about this part. These 100,000 active editors. This is what makes the ship go, right? There's this wonderful quote that Sue Gardner, who's our current director, found. The cultivated person's first duty is always to rewrite the encyclopedia. I love this. I love this. And that's a quote from Umberto Eco. And so who are these cultivated people? Well, you and I, folks like this. I love this photo. Incidentally, these 3 guys wrote most of the Media Wiki code between them. This was taken in 2005 at our very first conference that was held in Frankfurt. And he's Lithuanian, he's Australian, he's German. This was taken in 2007 at our conference in Taiwan. This was the very first gathering of women who were involved in Wikipedia. We called ourselves the Wiki Chicks, which stuck for a while. It's kind of annoying, it's catchy. That's my laptop in the center. This guy is Martin Walker. He's a professor of chemistry up at Stony Brook, or maybe not Stony Brook, but one of the SUNY schools. And he did a lot of work with the chemistry wiki project, which is fantastic, writing chemistry articles. And he's done a lot of work with assessment quality work on Wikipedia. I really like his work. I kind of think of him as the quintessential Wikipedian. We, of course, have editors all around the world. This is from a meetup in Bangalore a couple of years ago. I like this picture too. This is from 2009 for our conference that was in Buenos Aires, which was fantastic, incidentally. This is pretty much what we do when we get together and hang out as Wikipedians. We sit on our laptops to talk to each other, and we argue about copyright. Wikipedians know more about copyright and will argue with you more about copyright than anybody else, including librarians. We can totally take anybody in a copyright fight, let me tell you. So if you ever have a question about fair use or free licenses, ask a Wikipedian, seriously. But this is what we look like, right? Sitting around, getting together. This is David Ferrario. Does anyone know who David Ferrario is, incidentally? Very good. Oh, should give you a mango pudding or something. David Ferrario is the archivist of the United States. He is our chief archivist, and he is a big fan of Wikipedia. He spoke at our last conference that was in DC, and he has this saying, well, he's done a lot of work with Wikipedia in the archives, right? He's had Wikipedians in to do work, and he's put a bunch of the archive stuff on Commons, and he has this saying, if it's good enough for the archivist of the United States, it's good enough for you. So I love David. He's one of my heroes. He is a Wikipedian. And then this is a big group of people getting together in Haifa a couple years ago at our conference that was there. We move around the world, as you've noticed, every year. When I look at a Wikipedia article, when I look at that text on a screen, this is what I see in my mind's eye. I see those people. I see those people working around the world who might not share a common language, they might not share common values or politics in the real world, but they share the values of Wikimedia, right? And they're working towards a common goal. And so let's talk about those values. Wikipedia is free. Free as in beer, free as in freedom. Doesn't cost anything, and it's freely licensed. Everything we do is freely licensed. We're written by volunteers, which means that it's an open system, and we don't have editorial control, and we don't discriminate against people based on their age or their qualifications or where they come from in the world. If you can write a good article, you will be respected as a Wikipedian, plain and simple. So everyone can participate, and the whole system is also supported by readers. So these are more of Wikipedia's values, but the site is neutral, and it's encyclopedic, and it's factual. And that's a simple explanation for things that have spawned reams and reams and reams of discussion about what these three words mean, right? But in a nutshell, right? Being neutral means we don't take sides. It also means that Wikipedia is not a platform for advertising, it's not a platform for PR, it's not a platform for promotion. And that we try to represent the sides of a discussion or a debate fairly. Encyclopedic, also a problematic term, but basically, we don't include that phone number for the bus company, right? We don't include directory information. We don't include lots of things that wouldn't fit within the scope of a traditional encyclopedia, right? We don't include an article about your neighbor's garage band. We don't include articles about, well, maybe we do, but we don't include the yellow pages. You know, we don't include lots of things. Factual, pretty simple on the face of it. We are librarians. We know it is not always simple. What this means in practice is that stuff should be cited. This is why Wikipedians get so antsy about their citations. Because, think about it, your contributors, the people you're working with on an article, they come from Argentina, they come from, who knows where they come from. And so all you can really trust are the sources that somebody uses, right? And so we have this heavy, heavy reliance on third-party sources. And there's no talk on editorial control. People ask me all the time, who reviews Wikipedia articles? Well, we review Wikipedia articles, right? The community working on Wikipedia articles reviews Wikipedia articles in accordance with all these rules, of which there are many. That means there's no editorial body. How could you write 25 million articles if there was? It wouldn't be possible. And so we are, in fact, what my friend Sam Klein likes to call a community-curated work. We are a community, and we are bringing together information in the act of curating curation and making this thing. Okay, and these are sometimes expressed on Wikipedia in another format. I'll read these quickly. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. Wikipedia is written from a neutral point of view. Wikipedia is free content that anyone can edit, use, or modify. Editors should interact with each other in a respectful or civil fashion. It's pretty self-evident. Wikipedia does not have firm rules. That's my favorite. And, you know, what this means basically is that no one expected this site to become the most read reference work in the world in 2001. No one had the faintest idea, not Jimmy Wales, not anybody. It came as a shock to everyone. And so our rules have evolved. Our policies have evolved. We have written a manual style from scratch that's like 500 pages long over time, and that will continue to be the case over time. And so we recognize that by saying Wikipedia does not have firm rules. We have vision and spirit, right? We have these principles that we adhere to, but not firm rules. Okay. So let's take a moment and talk about an article. How many people have edited? Oh my goodness, it's so many compared to the usual crowd, where it's like one person. I'm glad, I'm proud of you all. Still not everyone. So how Wikipedia works. Here's an article about the Anglo-American cataloging rules. I was feeling a little nostalgic. What can I say? Here's a banner on top of it. You've seen this banner before on top of articles. It says, this article needs more references. Okay. You've seen this before, right? Am I right? Actually, what it says is, this article needs additional citation for verification, which is a fancy way of saying it needs more references. And if you click edit up here on the article, you'll see in the code, I know you can't see this in the back, but you'll see in the code there's a little line that's in curly brackets. That line of text inside the curly brackets makes that banner. It's a template, and you place the template in the article. Which means that if you come across an article and it needs references, you can say, this needs references, and put in that template, and then boom, there's the banner. Or if you come along and say, I know about the AACR2, I can reference this, and you do, you add good references, take out the template, boom, it's referenced, right? So this template is a flag to both readers that something needs to happen on this article, and editors, that there's something to do here, right? And this template also does something else cool, which is it categorizes the article. And it categorizes the article into a category. Articles needing sources, articles lacking sources. Here's the thing about this category. There are 296 articles in here, okay? So there's 235 odd thousand articles that need some sources. That's quite a few. I've been doing this for a while. I could not reference 200,000 articles. What this is a working to-do list for editors, right? So somebody who likes doing sourcing might go to this page and say, all right, I'm going to pick out an article and source it. And then they take off the template and it gets taken out of the category. Every system on Wikipedia works basically like this, right? Categories based on some kind of template that forms a kind of to-do list that people then work from and then, do their work. Sources, copy editing, image file work. It all gets done this way. The other thing to know about this is if you click on the talk page, you'll get this banner. So the talk page is where people discuss the article, right? You might have a conversation with someone saying, do you think this fact about the AACR2 is really correct? And somebody else might reply to you and say, yeah, it's in this source. It's where editors talk about the content of a particular article. But there's also this banner on the talk page that says this article is within the scope of WikiProject. And WikiProject libraries, if you click on that link, is a page on Wikipedia where editors come together and talk about a particular subject area, in this case, libraries. So you could come here, sign your name, and say, yeah, I want to work on library articles, and there's a to-do list, and there's resources, and you can have conversations with other people involved in the project. And this is how we make sense out of those 4 million articles. Okay? There are wiki projects on all kinds of topics. There's a wiki project for frogs and amphibians that is very vibrant. There's a wiki project in engineering, there's a wiki project in chemistry. My favorite wiki project, which I just recently discovered last week, is Wiki Project Breakfast. It deals with breakfast foods. Bacon, toast, eggs, oatmeal. Yeah, it's the best. Wiki Project Breakfast. I highly recommend it. But I also highly recommend Wiki Project Libraries, right? Okay, how am I doing on time? Now, if you click the View History, the History button, what you get is the history of every revision that's been made to the article over time. And here's the thing, every version of every article, so every change that's made on Wikipedia gets kept. This means a few things. First, it means you can't break it, because you can always go back to a previous version. It means other people can't break it. So if they come along and somebody writes, "This sucks," across the front of the article, you can be like, yeah, and change it back to a previous version of the article. Cleaned up. So every version of every page is recorded in the page history, and there's a lot of information that you can get out of this history. Here's one revision. And this revision of this article, it tells you, well, you can compare it to other revisions to see what changed. It tells you the time and date it was made. It tells you who made it, what their other contributions are, and it tells you what they said they did about their edit. In this case, this person said that they wikified an entry, which means that they add some links and some formatting. They add some links to their articles. So you can tell every single thing that has ever happened to any particular Wikipedia article if you're willing to do a little forensics, right? So when I evaluate an article, I look at the talk page to see if there's any arguments. I look at the history to see what's changed recently. And I look at the references, right? I look at the notes and references. Now, I brought up this article, sodium nitrate, of all the random things in the world to talk about. I brought up this article because it has stuck in my mind over the years. So I'm a reference librarian. I work in an engineering library. And I work with chemistry as well. And we have a big chemistry program at Davis. And so I got an undergrad one day who came in and said, I need some sources about sodium nitrate. I don't know, they're writing a paper, fine. And so I was like, okay, let me do my thing. Here's some sources about sodium nitrate. I found them the properties and all the stuff you find out in Merck, and then I found them, some nice articles. There are some nice articles about the history of mining sodium nitrate, which is also called saltpeter. Anyway, so this person left, and I said, I have this great article in my hand, right? It's like the history of sodium nitrate. And so I added it to the Wikipedia article under further reading, which is one of my personal habits. I like to just add a further reading section to everything and add cool stuff that I find there. Like, bother putting in a footnote, like just make a further reading section, right? It's fine, it's good, it's good. So I stuck this in the article, and I thought to myself, every reference transaction should be like this, right? Every single one. Every time I see a banner on Wikipedia that says, this article needs more sources, I see that as a personal challenge, right? That is a reference question. Every citation needed tag is a reference question, and that reference question is, I need some better sources about AECR2, can you help me out? And if it's phrased in that way, all of us, every person in this room can answer that question in our sleep, right? So think about that. Think about that the next time you see a problem on Wikipedia. It's a reference question and it's a challenge, okay? I also do this to keep up my skills in areas I don't know very well, right? Like, yeah, I'll reference a legal article today. Anyway, so this is how I evaluate an article. And doing that editing work, it's easy. It's easy. I mean, maybe it's not always easy, but it's pretty easy. You click at it. Well, first you create an account if you want. You don't have to. But if you want, you create an account. You click at it. What you get is this. There's a window. There's some code inside the window. It's markup. It's like HTML markup. This, incidentally, is hopefully changing this summer-ish. We're trying to replace it with a WYSIWYG editor. Anyway, yeah, it's exciting. It's cool. Cross your fingers. It's very hard. It's very technically hard, which is why it's taking us this long. Anyway, so you add in some text, and then you add an ad summary to say what you did, and you hit save, and that's that. One revision. Save to the article history. I made my first edit in 2003. I remember it vividly. I do. I was going into library school. And it was like that period right before I was going into library school. I was about to become a graduate student. And my job, my undergraduate job had just ended. And so I had like maybe 3 weeks to kill, right? I had some time on my hands. So I was sitting in my house in Seattle, which is where I lived at the time. And I was like, oh, I've read about this Wikipedia thing. I think there was a story in the New York Times or something. Maybe I'll try it out. I printed out the rules because that's the kind of person I am. And I did this, right? Click that, made my changes, hit save. And at the time, I'd been doing quite a bit of website work. I'd been doing quite a bit of HTML work, as probably many of us have, right? I'd been writing some websites and doing some stuff, and I was a fairly early adopter, which meant that I could code up HTML pretty easily. But it's a pain, right? It is not necessarily easy. And remember, this is before Facebook, before Twitter, before it was common to have a box that you could type into and have stuff appear on the web. But here in Wikipedia, I typed stuff in and hit save, and it appeared. And it was like the heavens opened. It was a revelation. It was extraordinary to see your stuff just appear just like that. That's still pretty cool, I think, and it's still cool about Wikipedia. Why? Why devote your hard-earned time? Well, this is part of the reason why. These are article traffic statistics, and what they say is that the article on sodium nitrate has been accessed 34,670 times last month. This is a middle-of-the-road article. This is like nothing special, right? It's not tiny, but it's not big by Wikipedia standards. It's just an article. People use it, some kid doing the kind of assignment I helped my student out with, Google sodium nitrate. Wikipedia comes up. 35,000 times, that's more, how can I put this? That's more patrons that I will probably help in my lifetime. Okay? Last month. With my article that I stuck up in this page. That is why. Because Wikipedia extends our reach further than anything else we can possibly do. I am an author. I've written a book. My book will never sell this many copies, right? It's just not going to happen. So, but Wikipedia extends what we can do and the kinds of questions we can answer. So let's talk about libraries for a second. Let's talk about how we can work together. Well, you can add references. We are all champion referencers. You should add references, right? Everyone who knows how to do research well should add references. There's citation templates, which is what this is showing you, so you can put in a journal article or a website in a good format. We should teach people how to use Wikipedia. Information literacy is a big deal in my universe, working with academia, but it's kind of a big deal with everyone, right? So for instance, this is showing you the Cite This Page link that's on the left-hand side of every Wikipedia article. If you're gonna use Wikipedia, you should cite it, and if you cite it, you should cite it properly, which means using this link, so you reference the exact version of the article you're looking at, right? right? Because they change. Stuff like this, knowing how to use the site well and teaching it to our faculty, our patrons, our staff, our clients. Similarly, there's a big effort around Wikipedia in the classroom. So we have run a training program for several years, training so-called campus ambassadors. But faculty like to teach with Wikipedia articles, like they like to assign Wikipedia articles to their students. That can go well, that can also go very, very, very badly. And so in an effort to try and help people out, we've done all this work to aid professors and students in classes. Wikipedians and libraries. I told my friend who's standing in this photo, she's the librarian, and she's also named Phoebe, which is cool, that this sounds a little bit like I'm a naturalist, like Wikipedians in a strange habitat. It's not, though, right? Wikipedians love libraries. They love to do research, almost as much as they love copyright, which means they are your natural patrons. Wikipedians will jump on the chance to do any kind of backstage tour, to do any kind of reference work inside a library, to do anything that involves getting more information online. Your local Wikipedians and our local Wikipedians in this area, we have a mailing list which I can sign you up for, love this kind of thing. Similarly, Wikipedians have done a lot of work to open up archives. This is a page about the Bundesarchiv, which is the German Federal Archive. It's based in Berlin. They donated something like 800,000 pictures to Wikimedia Commons. It's huge. And they're all public domain, right? They're all free. And Wikipedians went through and did a massive image indexing project, tagged them all, just like that, right? NARA did the same thing. They donated 100,000 pictures. And all this is related to something that we're calling internally GLAM, which stands for Galleries, Libraries, Archives, Museums, working, in other words, with cultural institutions, which encompasses all of these activities and more besides. So this picture is of the British Museum. It's a tour within the British Museum where Wikipedians came and talk to the curators of rare objects, of cool objects. So this woman is the curator for the Dürer woodblock prints, right? This is a woodblock print, a Dürer print. And you can see, these are Wikipedians, taking pictures of them, right? Which they then uploaded to Commons and improved the article with. Like I said, Wikipedians love chances to get more knowledge. And then finally, easily, the last thing, write about our own profession. This is the article about the Special Libraries Association. It's a screenshot I took yesterday. This is a terrible article. It's wretched. It's shame for all of us. Please fix this article. For me, do it for me. So, this is how we can get involved. Now, I couldn't just end there, right? That was a good note. But I thought I would give you a taste of some of the challenges that we face. And now I'm done. The future. Or what I like to call planning for the next 10 years. This is a photo from a party that we had in San Francisco to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Wikipedia, which was 2 years ago. Wikipedia started in 2001. Like I said, we did not expect this to happen. It's been a shock to everyone. And no one knows exactly what the next 10 years will bring either, right? But here's what we face. These are graphs which are hard to read. But this line is the number of articles on the English Wikipedia going up, 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 up. This line is the number of articles on the Hindi Wikipedia. Also starting a couple years later, but also going up, 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 right? But look at the comparative differences. In English, we're talking about 4 million articles. In Hindi, we're talking about 100,000, okay? Hindi is spoken by 200 million people around the world. It's the most spoken language after Spanish, Chinese, and English. And Their Wikipedia is teensy tiny, especially compared to the number of people who speak that language. Many languages are like this. Arabic is like this. Chinese is like this. Compared to the number of people who speak that language, their site is little. And this is a problem. This is a problem, right? Because there is no other encyclopedia in Swahili. There is no other encyclopedia that's online in many, many, many languages. And so to expand our reach, we need to change this. Here's another related set of graphs. This line that peaks in 2007 goes dead across all these categories. These are editors on the English Wikipedia. Our editor numbers peaked in 2007, and they've been going slowly downhill ever since on English. This is a problem. Because our readership, our page count, and every other metric has been going up like this, and the number of editors has stayed flatline. Hindi's different. Hindi, the number of editors has gone up over time, starting in 2007. But look at the comparisons. In English, we're talking about 50,000 active editors a month. In Hindi, we are talking about 50. That's it. That's how many people write the Hindi Wikipedia. Again, this is a problem. And both of these things are problems, actually. And so our biggest challenge, this is our single biggest challenge, is trying to get the number of editors to stay stable and go up on all the projects. Get more people involved. And what that means in practice is a few things. It means solving the gender gap. So 1 in 9 editors on Wikipedia, 1 in 8, 1 in 9 are women. The rest are guys. Problematic for lots of reasons. 1, we need more editors. 2, there's big areas of knowledge that are not very well written. We need contributors everywhere, every language, everywhere. One of the reasons Hindi is not very big, well, it's hard to type in Hindi, and in Devanagari, I should say, and internet access is not very good, right? So getting people to be able to contribute from their mobiles, that's a big goal. This is the app for comments where you can go and upload a picture on the fly that we just released this month. So getting people to be able to contribute on the fly, contribute from lots of different circumstances, right, is a big goal. Which means readers everywhere too, right? How many people know about the One Laptop per Child project, or heard of it at the time? Yeah, lots of folks. They sent laptops all around the world. Those laptops had copies of Wikipedia on them in the appropriate languages, slices of Wikipedia. We have a long way to go before, in fact, reaching every single human, right? Including lots of people in places where there's no or not very good internet access. And then finally, keeping knowledge free. You might remember last year we brought Wikipedia down for a day. It went dark for a day in January 2012 to protest SOPA, which was a piece of legislation that would have affected our projects and projects around the world and projects like us, because it would have made us responsible for things that happened on the site in a way that was unsustainable. Things like SOPA, things like censorship around the world, things like internet regulations, things like the pricing structure of internet, things like access policies, these all affect us. And they affect all of us. They affect libraries too. When the site went down for SOPA, I had all these arguments with librarians who were like, oh, this is great for librarians. It is not great for librarians, because all of these things affect us too, right? All of these things affect information in general. We survive, Wikipedia and everybody else who works with information survives because of a constellation of very specific technical and legal regulations that are threatened a lot, right? And all we can do is fight for free knowledge, right? All we can do is try to keep the sites going and try to keep policies. So that's what I have to say. Thank you. And there's like maybe 10 or 15 minutes for questions. So if anyone has any questions. Somebody asked me if I knew Jimmy Wales. I do know Jimmy Wales. But we don't hang out that often. Yeah.
I've kind of a vague question. You touched on it a little bit, saying that you might be moving to a WYSIWYG interface.
Yeah.
What thought have you given to how closely linked the content is to the wiki format?
Right, a lot. So she asked how much have we thought about maybe the impacts of a WYSIWYG editor and how closely the content is linked to the format. We know that the current system keeps people out, right? Because people click on that edit button and they see the window and they think, oh my God, what is this? I don't find it a barrier, but I've been doing it for 10 years, so I don't really count, right? So we think that having a WYSIWYG interface will increase the number of people who contribute. It will probably also change the nature of those contributions. It will mean both maybe more things to patrol, a little bit more spam maybe. Not spam, but like kind of misguided contributions, I should say. But also, we're hoping, well, you know, my friend's band, right? But also, we're hoping that it will enable lots and lots and lots of other people to participate. So we know it's a problem, and we're trying to fix it. Yeah. Okay, you two can fight it out. Okay.
Are there any efforts underway to get more women to participate?
Oh yeah. So she asked if there are any efforts underway to get more women to participate, and there are. Well, there's been a lot of outreach, right? We've done a lot of press work. Our current executive director's name is Sue Gardner, and she's amazing, and she's done a lot of work on just like awareness, you know, news stories and stuff. Simultaneously, we've done a lot of just hands-on outreach, like I'm running an edit-a-thon next weekend that's aimed at women, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's anybody's guess how to do it, and so we've been trying all kinds of things, but mostly related to outreach. Yeah.
Are there like big Wikipedia competitors, maybe in other languages? You know how China has like always like their version of Google and their version of like.
Yeah, so are there any competitors of Wikipedia for Wikipedia in other languages? In China, there's Baidu, which is the big encyclopedia site. China's a special case, right? Because of China's internet policies, like Wikipedia is censored half the time, so which means that we just don't have it up. But there's Baidu in China. There's a few others. There's a big Spanish encyclopedia, I want to say. There's not a big competitor in English that's online, which is both good and bad. Actually, as a librarian, I kind of think it's bad. Like, competition's always good, right? But in other languages, yeah, there are. But mostly in other languages, there just aren't encyclopedias, right? There's not a good Indonesian encyclopedia, and there's sure as heck not a good Cree encyclopedia. There's not a good Cherokee encyclopedia. There's not a good, I don't know, Asturian Wikipedia or encyclopedia, you know. So many languages just never had this kind of resource. Yeah. Yeah.
Since you depend so much on volunteers, and it sounds like you work pretty hard. Isn't there a certain fatigue factor that, you know, these people have other jobs they have to do?
Oh, my day job.
How do you
Tosh.
How do you retain your volunteers?
Yeah, it's a great question. So she asked if you know, don't people have fatigue? Don't they burn out, right? Which they do. We call it burnout. We have all this jargon, all this internal jargon, some of which is you know, you take a wiki break. You take a wiki break, step away from the website. You take a wiki break and you go and do things in real life. Yeah, people burn out. Kindness and respect. I think that people. Here's what's amazing to me. Here's what's amazing to me about Wikimedia, I should say. These people are so passionate about doing this work. I mean, I can relate, right? I'm right there with them. But looking as an outsider in, people do give their lives, right? And sometimes they give their lives and then they get married and do something else, right? Or whatever, right? Sometimes they only give a few years, but those years are totally passionate, and people do it because they love it, right? And so it takes a certain kind of person to really love writing an encyclopedia. But I will say I have certainly found personal fulfillment out of this work. I know people from around the world. I have friends on every continent and many, many, many countries because of Wikipedia, which is pretty cool, right? Like, I can go to any country in Europe and be like, hey, so-and-so, can I stay at your house? So that is fulfilling. Doing this work is fulfilling. Meeting people and talking about it is fulfilling to me. Arguing online about some royalties, exact birthday, blah, 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 no, it's a Disney source, whatever. That's satisfying, right? To a certain kind of person. Doing research is satisfying. I know you all know this, right? Or we wouldn't be here. So I think on balance, the satisfaction largely outweighs the downsides, and when it doesn't, people go and do other things with their lives. I think that's the answer. But yes, volunteer retention is a big deal. Volunteer retention is a big problem and a big issue, and is largely why we need more people, right, to come in. We need more people to become experienced editors so they can stand up in front of groups and talk about Wikipedia with confidence, or whatever it is. And yes, I personally put in a lot of hours, but I see it also as an extension of my profession, right? So, yeah.
I occasionally see an article that is not something that I have expertise in, but I just think this is not very well written. Do you wish
Yes.
for readers to make a comment to say, this article needs help?
Yes. Yes, leave a comment on the talk page is how you would do that, right? You would click on the talk page and then you'd write your comment and you would hit save, and there it is. And if there's something specific, say that. If there's something general, say that. There's this myth that Wikipedia editors know what they're, well, that sounds bad. I was going to say know what they're talking about. They often do know what they're talking about. But there's this myth that Wikipedia editors are experts in what they write about on Wikipedia. This is not usually the case. Instead, Wikipedia editors are very good at research, right? They're very good at reading and copy editing and doing research. I was telling these folks, I'm an engineering librarian. I did not study engineering. I'm also, I work with chemists. I did not study chemistry. I fake it every day, right? And you know how you fake it, right? You're good at finding stuff, and so you can find anything if you can find stuff. It's fine, right? What'd you say, George?
Give me the right keywords.
Right, give me the right keywords. Writing a Wikipedia article is the same thing. Give me the right keywords, I can write you a Wikipedia article. Easy. Yeah. Either one of you. George and then...
This is a very practical question about Wikipedia articles.
Sure.
Is there a difference between further reading and external references? Or are you moving from one of those terms to the other? Or?
There are 3 sections in a complete Wikipedia article. References, which is sometimes called notes. Sometimes that's split into notes and references if somebody wants to use a footnoting format. Further reading and external links. Notes and references are references that are used within the body of the article as footnotes. Further reading is a list of stuff about the topic, like bibliography. And external links are links to websites that aren't Wikipedia. So, there you go. Yep. Yeah.
Like it or not, Wikipedia is where many of our users are starting.
Yeah.
Do you see any particular areas in terms of topical strength where you're really good or maybe not so good?
Yeah, so George asked if there are any topics that are particularly good or particularly bad in Wikipedia. Well, so I didn't say this in the presentation, but I often say this. It is difficult to say, I think, that Wikipedia is a good source or a bad source. Because every article is different, right? Every article is individual. There are some articles that are really good, and there are some articles that are terrible. And so it's hard to say overall, yes, this is a good source, which is part of why I think librarians and teachers both have a little bit of antipathy, right? Because we like to be able to say, yes, please use this. You can't really do that with Wikipedia and get away with it. That said, articles about computer science, about botany, about biology tend to be very good. Articles about history, articles about military history particularly. I don't know what the deal is with those military historians, but they love Wikipedia. Articles about math tend to be very good. Articles about engineering, surprisingly, are pretty bad. I've been doing work on engineering articles, which, you know, that's a little sad. But articles about engineering tend to be pretty bad. Articles about women's history tend to be pretty bad. Articles about, well, geography is pretty good. Articles about fashion are terrible, so bad. Articles about food, you know, so it really depends. It depends area by area.
Just thinking, like, nostalgically about Encyclopedia Britannica and World Book and stuff. What are, if you get asked this regularly, what are the comparisons that you usually make? And, you know, I'm wondering about the qualifications of those editors. And then also just the numbers of articles and topics covered.
Well, talking about English, which is a particular thing. Okay, so leaving aside all the other languages, she asked about comparative Encyclopedia Britannica, World Book, maybe the classic encyclopedias. Wikipedia is about 3 orders of magnitude larger than any other print encyclopedia. It is by far, in English, by far the largest reference work ever written, ever in history by people. And that includes that crazy Chinese encyclopedia that was like 3,000 volumes. Wikipedia is big. If we printed out Wikipedia, it would fill this room. That said, Wikipedia combines lots of things to be that large, right? Like all the topics in all specialist encyclopedias, right? Articles about individual trains in metro systems, lots and lots of detailed information. So one difference is that Britannica and World Book both are much more heavily curated, right? They are stripped down to things that people feel like are important about the world and presented in a package deal. So like, yeah, if I was running a school library, I would still buy World Book. The writing is better in Britannica overall. It tends to be more consistently copy edited. So the writing is better. The facts, the references are often better in Wikipedia. Things are more heavily cited in Wikipedia than they are in almost any other encyclopedia I've ever seen. They also tend to be, of course, more up to date, but also more, what's the word? Topically sensitive. Like, sometimes in Britannica, you will come across articles that have sort of a colonial view of the world, or like, you know, they're just out of date in some kind of fundamental way that Wikipedia articles are often not, right? Like I'd done this kind of comparison exercise before, and I was looking at an article on Britannica, and an old version of Britannica, but not very old. It was like talking about the natives of such and such an island, right? Wikipedia tends to be better in that, about talking about the world. But yeah, those other sources, they're better written and they're curated, and they often are written by experts, but we cite the experts in Wikipedia, right? Which is a different way of looking at the world, right? It's the way of looking at the world like versus, oh, I'm Dr. So-and-so and I know all about a subject, so I'm going to give you my knowledge, versus saying, we're going to curate what we know about the world and give it back to you. So it's just different. We buy a lot of specialist encyclopedias as an academic library, and I refer people to them because they are often very, you know, technically good, but I think that we are getting there. Wikipedia.
I think this has to be the last question.
She had a question, yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for a fun and very interesting.
Sure, yeah.
A lot more to Wikipedia than that. At school, our professors in our program, instructional design at SFC, refer students to Wiki Commons.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's how I first
Yeah,
learned about that.
Yeah.
So I was curious at your library, do you refer your library patrons to Wikipedia or suggest things from there or promote the site? I'm just curious.
Yeah, she asked if we promoted or referred patrons to the site. The patrons never like it when I refer them to Wikipedia. They're always cranky about it. It's
They
true.
can find that themselves.
Yeah, they can find that for themselves, exactly. They're looking for stuff they can't find themselves. So I work in an academic library, as you know, it's a fairly specialized academic library. I was teaching a freshman class. They weren't computer scientists. It was like an intro to computer science for non-majors class. It was like rocks for jocks except computers. So I was teaching a library session for this class. And a group of freshmen. The freshmen were born, if you don't work in universities, you might not have realized this, but the freshmen nowadays were born in 1995. It's disgusting. So all these kids were born in the 90s, right? They were born in the 90s, and I'm standing up there and telling them about the world and the world of information. And my professor that I was teaching for was super cool, and she is also interested in Wikipedia, and she knew I had done all this work, and so she said, okay, Phoebe, now that you've told them how to use the catalog and the databases, will you tell them about Wikipedia? And I said, sure. And I'm standing there, and I realized that I had been editing Wikipedia since these kids were in middle school. Except I realized afterwards I was wrong. I've been editing Wikipedia since they were in elementary school. Oh, that's tragic. Which means that these kids have grown up never knowing anything else in their entire information lives. They largely have never used print encyclopedia, and they largely have taken Wikipedia for granted, part of the air, like Google. What do you gotta do? I said, all right, how many of you were told in high school not to use Wikipedia? Every hand in that room of 100 people went up. I said, how many of you were told not to use Wikipedia in middle school? And like half the hands went up. And I said, okay then, let's talk about information literacy. That's not what I said. But I said, look, let's talk about good times to use Wikipedia, bad times to use Wikipedia. Let's talk about citing your sources. And the professor, who was teaching computer science to a room full of non-majors, kids who didn't know the first thing about the workings of a computer, thought, okay, Wikipedia is the best possible source, right? They need to learn what a transistor is. Where else but Wikipedia? They need to learn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The kids thought, oh no, we can't use Wikipedia. And there's something about that black and white view of the world that, you know, we have to get over. So to answer your question, I try to do that. I try to educate folks. I do sometimes recommend Wikipedia, but like I said, no one likes it when I recommend Wikipedia at the reference desk because they want things they can't find themselves, and that is in fact what we're there for. So I give them their fancy properties out of SciFinder, and I give them IEEE references, and I give them all this stuff. But yeah, learning how the world is made up of information and what those sources mean, that's our challenge. So. Okay, one more, or are we done? Okay, I'll answer your question after. I'll be here. All right.
So thank you very much, Phoebe. I think that there are several questions remaining out there. I apologize, but it is after 8. So we have to be respectful of people's schedules. Thank you very much. I want to also thank our fantastically fabulous hospitality and programs people, Hillary, Aaron, and Sarah, for. And don't forget to come down to San Diego. We're going to celebrate the IT Division's Award to the Silicon Valley chapter. We have our own Rising Star in our chapter, Kendra Levine. And we'll go to the Western States chapter's reception. And you can pepper Tony with all kinds of questions at the Meet the Board Candidates event in the Expo Hall. So come on down to San Diego for the conference. Hope to see many of you there. Thanks.
And return your badges, please. Return your badges to the table next to the door. Thank you.